Welcome, everyone. My name is Tijana Kovacevic, and I actually come from Serbia, Belgrade, but that's a place where I haven't lived for the past 11, 12 years. My journey has been quite nomadic, I would say. So I lived in the UK, then I moved to Qatar. Now I live in Greece because I'm married to a Greek guy. And currently I am actually in sunny London. And it surprises me that, it's almost end of November and London is so sunny and actually warm. So today I want to talk to you about how do we actually future-proof our people and organizational development strategy within WISE for maximum impact of our solutions. So if you move to the next slide, please. So first, I would like to talk about one concept that I always use to actually first assess where the organization is in their learning journey towards a learning organization, which we all aim to be, right? And then I use this Bursin model, which is called the Learning Organization Maturity Model. So when I arrived to WISE maybe a year and a half ago, it was a very, not in a bad sense, immature place, but a very young organization in terms of their learning and development practices, right? So I started assessing what they're doing so far. I found a lot of like incidental training in the pockets of the company. Maybe a workplace team would be organizing some training, maybe some managers would be organizing the training, employees themselves, right? They would be all learning by themselves. However, that does not mean that the organization had a strategy, right? So we started slowly moving to actually understanding where do we want to be in terms of the maturity level in our organization. So we created a 3-year plan and started moving up these levels of maturity. Now, the second one is actually ensuring you have a training and development excellence, right? That all your programs are actually of great quality, that all your programs have clear participants and audiences that you marked them to attend, right? Not just randomly people attending some training, that you know how to identify who are the people that are attending the training, and that you, of course, have quality in those offerings that you have. And then moving further to talent and performance improvement, where I would say we are at now, let's say it's the beginning of 2022, is something that we are aiming at. And that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about today. Now, one thing we wanted to clarify, and if you can move to the next slide, please. Is also what role do we play in the organization as a people and organizational development, right? So as you know, learning has changed massively over the past 10 to 20 years, right? So, employees have their own LinkedIn Learning, they have YouTube, they have Google, right? So who are we to always tell them, oh, this is what you should be learning? We are all learning on our own pace and the things that we like, right? But it is equally important to let employees own their learning. However, also manage those, let's say, collective needs. What does your company as a strategically need? Let's say organizational wide skills or leadership skills, for example. If it's a company of young leads, right, that have become leads for the first time, then leadership is a capability that we should own and make a really good case for it and make it like a quality offering as well, right? So these are the, let's say, strategic needs, collective needs defined, approved, and delivered by the company or us internal, no matter if it's a vendor or not, right? Then there are some things that are, let's say, we enable, right? So this is this individual empowerment. So for example, maybe as a team, we're trying to get people the LinkedIn Learning licenses, right? So they can learn on their own. How can we, let's say, maybe have this LMS that enables people to actually create their own content, consume content at their own convenience, and all these things. Versus also, how do we facilitate the collective intelligence, social sharing? Maybe there are some Slack groups where we facilitate some conversations, post, I don't know, interesting questions, and then people engage in that kind of social learning, right? So it's really important as well that for us as a department, we know which roles we're playing when we talk about learning in the organization, because roles can be many. Now, moving on to the next slide. one story that is closely really connected to learning, and I know that sometimes it's not the first thing we have on mind, is actually where are we with the talent management maturity models. So one thing is about ensuring, oh, people have the skills for the future and for their roles, but how can we prepare them pretty much for the future, right? How do we manage their whole talent journey within WISE? That's something that we asked ourselves, and again, we were very early stages when it comes to our maturity a year and a half ago. Now we're also moving up in our journey of identifying the right talent, identifying who should we, let's say, develop faster than others, maybe to assume bigger roles, and all of these things. But I'm not going to go in detail about that tonight, because actually it's a bit off topic, I would say. So next slide, please. Yes. So what we did, right, we identified a really, let's say, a kind of like our strategic bets, right? What exactly are we going for when it comes to learning, right? So we said a few things. We said our big bets is that first we diagnose performance, not learning problems only. Now, what that means, and that's exactly the theme of the day, is we use a performance consulting approach to really see what are the root causes of some performance problems, right? Because ultimately, organizations are not interested in are employees learning or are they engaged. They're interested, are they productive and doing their jobs well, right? And I know this doesn't seem too idealistic, right? But it's a reality. So how can we use performance consulting as an approach to actually maximize the impact of solutions? Because sometimes learning is not part of the solution, right? Then the second thing is we always say not just training, right? How many times we have heard like, oh yeah, can you organize another, let's say, time management workshop for me, or can you organize another project management workshop for me? But yeah, but will that really work? So we use 70-20-10 model to actually inspire people to think about learning holistically. Learning only works if there is actually a practical experiential application that we're able to how to say pursue when we learn something even technically speaking, right? And then leads as multipliers of our culture. Leads are extremely important in the learning journey, right? Maybe one of the most important elements if in people assuring the people are learning in the organization. Because if the lead, let's say after somebody has attended the training, if a lead doesn't follow up and ask their employee like, hey, how was this training? Like, what did you learn? Maybe there is a reflection or if the lead doesn't give the opportunities for application of this learning that somebody has attended, then we're not talking about full-on learning, right? So we invest a lot in our leads so that they can be empowered to actually play a major role in the employee development, right? And then we always say right people in the right roles at the right time. As we scale, we really need to be always ready to say like, hey, okay, this role has become bigger. Maybe we need another person in this role with more skills, with, let's say, a better leadership capability because they're going to manage a team. So how do we effectively prepare and also assess and recognize the talent early so that we can actually develop them for future roles? And then always, as always, again, and I will insist in the post-COVID world as well, we must pivot to digital learning, right? I always say, do not go for just another workshop on communication skills if LinkedIn Learning has already created it, or if you can find it on Udemy or Coursera, right? So actually really utilize digital as one of the most important parts of your learning strategy. Now, moving on, I will now do a bit of a deep dive into, you can please move to the next slide. I will do a deeper dive into actually this performance consulting approach that I want to talk about today, right? So actually, this is so-called the human performance improvement approach, right? Where we're talking about 6 different factors of enhancing individual, group, and organizational performance. Now, performance is quite a difficult and complex thing to understand, because it's not just about, oh, am I able to do this job, or do I have the skills to do this job? There are multiple elements that can affect our performance on the job, right? And that's exactly, as I said, what organizations are interested in. So for example, it could be sometimes physical resources, right? I don't have materials, I don't have technology, I don't have now this virtual link to deliver the training, for example, right? So it could be resources, it it could be structure or a process, right? So for example, if I don't have mapped processes on how to do a certain technical task, right, then maybe every time I'm trying to figure out how to do it. And then there is another 100 employees that are, again, trying to figure out how to do some things instead of, let's say, having proper knowledge management, processes that are clear from information as well. Maybe I haven't received feedback on my performance, so I don't even know if I'm performing at the right level. To, of course, motives, right? How motivated have I been recognized for the good work that I'm doing? To all the things, for example, capacity and wellness, right? Something that we've seen a lot in COVID times, where we're all very tired. So how do we actually engage people in such difficult times where they're spending all of their times closed at homes, right? Not very happy about the situation, obviously. So how do we actually take care of wellness that actually might affect the performance? And only, I would say, almost at the last place, do people actually have knowledge or training needs, skills, knowledge and stuff like that to actually perform on their jobs. So my point is that knowledge and skills and the learning part of the equation is actually just part of the story in performance, right? So it's very important when we discuss solutions with the business to actually even show, like what I do with my stakeholders. I just show them this chart and I say, what might be the things that are actually causing this performance gap? And it's a simple question, as like, it's not a complicated question. And then when stakeholders actually take a look at this, they're like, oh yeah, actually, yeah, it's not learning, right? Because of course, every manager, the easy bit is to say, oh, I'm just going to organize a training and everything will be fine. Because, they know that people are going to be together, they're going to be happy, we will serve some drinks, we will learn a bit, and we will have some fun dinner afterwards, and everything will be fine, right? So, for example, most of times, actually, people use training as an engagement strategy, which is completely wrong, in my opinion, at least. So it's really important to actually engage your stakeholders into a wider discussion. Why is the performance gap happening, right? And diagnosing the root cause of this thing. Now, one thing that you might come across as a challenge is, okay, what do I do as a learning and development professional if actually the performance is not, let's say, it's not missing because of knowledge or skills? Then you ask yourself, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be part of this story. And I say, definitely you should be. Play a role of a project manager or a program manager that is actually maybe leading a whole a performance improvement project, whether that is a process, maybe you can coordinate this project, right? So do not get far away from performance problem, because that's the essence of our jobs, right? It's too much time. This is kind of self-explanatory. I will ask you to move to the next slide, maybe. And then I will just quickly show you as well, like these are the things, maybe, sorry, we can skip to the next one as well, because I kind of talked about this one. If you skip to the next one, great. I will show you how we are structured to actually deliver the impact in this particular way. So I always call my team the team of unicorns, right? Because we play different roles within our organization. So first, we have this role of a so-called, let's say, like a learning partner or a learning and talent partner that is actually dedicated to different sorts of functions, because we have different needs and different kind of workforce segments in those functions. So for example, an engineer has different needs than an operations or like a customer support people, right? So it's important that actually we are structured in the way that we can customize and personalize solutions that actually then make sense, right? Because, for example, let's say even in things like, I don't know, communication skills training, if I am giving an example to a customer support person, right, about a client who is calling or like emailing us, right, versus an engineer who doesn't have client interactions, I am on a wrong way, right? So it's very important that we are able to actually customize and personalize even small things like examples we use. So that's why all of us are actually split into functions, the way we're supporting the different functions. So from partner for product, let's say marketing, sales versus engineering versus operations. And then we have the so-called roles of product owners, right? So somebody who owns, let's say, a capability of leadership development or a capability of onboarding that is actually very important for us. So a lot of these roles are actually like really multifaceted, and it's almost like, let's say, you play maybe 40% of your role as a partner versus 30% of your role as a product owner, and then another 10% or 20% you play as a facilitator deliverer. Now, just maybe two slides after this one, so not the next one, but actually one after next, please. So, as I said, we wear multiple hats. It's like a partner or an account manager for this role versus like a product owner or a program manager, right? And then last but not least, facilitator and experience designer. And that's why I call them unicorns. In my personal opinion, I know this is too much to ask of one person. But then that takes me to the skills of the future that every one of us should be really having. And you can move to the next slide. Next slide, please. Great. So some of the key skills I identified in this journey, right, that are really important for us to grasp is actually performance consulting, right? So how do I use that chart and how do I have powerful conversations about what is actually the root cause of gap in the performance? Marketing and communications, right? So how important it is not to send yet another email or engage your, like our employees are constantly, let's say, Instagram, they're getting bombarded by such engaging content, and then we, send them more email like, hey, please come for this training. That's not engaging. So we need to get better at this marketing and communications, right? And like knowing how to create engaging content. Coaching and facilitation, absolutely needed still, right? Talent analytics, understanding how the data affects all of these root causes of performance gaps. Business acumen, to really be able to be on par with your business stakeholders, you need to understand what are their major KPIs, what are they after in order to be able to help them, and then learning technology. Everything is digital. If I say, oh, but I don't know, I'm not comfortable using Zoom. Now we all need to be comfortable using Zoom because of COVID. But one thing I also wanted to talk about is rather than just talking about skills, what about mindset that we need, right, to adopt? First and foremost is curiosity. World is changing at a fast pace, right? So how are we curiously looking to the future, always being on the forefront of, new trends, understanding even workforce trends, how people and human behavior changes so that we can meet those trends, versus grit, having this persistence, right, of actually pursuing things, and also learning agility, learning new things and applying new concepts really quickly, right? So I would say, even, maybe my presentation is a bit wrong here. I would first say the key mindset and then the key skills, because key skills are easy to learn when you have the right mindset, right? So that would be my presentation for today. Thank you very much, and I open the floor for any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Tijana. That's extremely inspiring. I'm hearing myself as well, so I feel what you felt when you started. I encourage everybody who is here in the room also ask from Slido, because it's a bit of a hassle to go and give the microphone to every one of you who would like to ask. But I have a couple of questions that arrived via web, I think. I'm from Kerli. So Kerli has a question that could be challenging to answer, but it is very often asked also from me and the network that I am in HR. So if leaders do not have time to learn themselves, which is a problem itself already, right? Then how can they set an example that learning is important? So it happens in everyday life. What do you think, in your experience? What do you think?
Yes. $1 million question, clearly. Definitely. Yes. So I would say, this is where I would say the leadership team plays a big role. So I do believe that for an effective learning and understanding how learning is important, we need to start from the top, right? So what I personally do, I actually aim to speak to all our top team members, right? So C-level executives, and kind of convince them that learning is actually the only way forward, right? Because as I said, skills are changing at a fast pace. So you can maybe use some data as well to prove that. What are the new skills that are coming? Like, or maybe use an example from their own function. How many things have changed, right? For example, COVID is a perfect example. How many things have changed actually since COVID about how we work? And then if we are not fast enough to bridge this gap that will finally close the performance gap, then we're not actually leading our business in the right way. So, I don't have a magic answer to this one, I have to admit, but it's, I would say, like a continuous discussion with the leadership team members about the importance of learning.
Yeah, life has pretty clearly given the example itself. So if today as well you need to sell that learning is important, then might be that, the person hasn't experienced a lot during the last year, right? But there actually halfway answers the other question as well that Gerli had, that how to start explaining the importance of strategic learning to managers in a young growing company. So you have this example in Wise where you already have been growing really extensively, and I believe that the explanations are not necessary in this phase, but what kind of suggestions do you have for the young companies?
Very, very good. I would say one of the major benefits of young companies is they're often small, right? So, I used to work in, let's say, 50,000 people companies. And then, of course, I can't reach everyone. So I always tell my team, right? I said, imagine there is so many of us. If all of us spent like some time in personal conversations with people, because these startups, right, where we have a lot of young people are actually quite small organizations. So I always say, invest the majority of your time coaching individuals, right? Rather than thinking of a big strategic thing. Start building those relationships one-on-one, and provide coaching, provide guidance, provide those kind of little inspiration moments about like how learning is important. So that's what we, for example, do, right? We aim to talk to people as much as possible so that they come to us afterwards, they ask us what to do next, right? And that has, I would say, worked wonderfully. And use that strategy while the organization is still small, because once it becomes big, it might be too late. That's why it's important to get in learning very early into the organization.
And look at that, how easy it has become to come and join the conference in Tallinn while actually being in London. Having this one-on-one conversations is exactly the same easiness level, I would say. Thank you so much for the inspiration, for your thoughts and for your ideas. Thank you for joining. Enjoy sunny London. And we now continue back to Estonian, right? Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, everyone, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks.